Hey guys, this is Ryan from Pixabyte, and welcome to Indie Interview. In case you're not familiar, this is the show where we talk to the developers behind some of the most interesting upcoming indie games. Today I'm here with Mark Smith to talk about Crashtastic. That's a physics-based indie game coming out later this year. Mark, thanks for taking the time to be with us here today.
Hello, everybody.
So Mark, this is your first full game, correct?
Yeah, Crashtastic will be the first game that I release publicly.
Awesome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how it plays?
Sure. So Crashtastic, in a nutshell, is a physics game that centers around the idea of building fully destructible vehicles to help your test robot accomplish given goals in a variety of different levels. And so it essentially plays out, you get to see the level, and you're told what the objective is. You're taken into an editor where you can build a vehicle, after which you can add a variety of different parts to it, so it's fully customizable. You essentially the robot starts in a seat. You connect a bunch of pieces to it, including wheels and rockets, and then you can set how high you want the rocket power to be. When you're ready, you hit go, and if you put steerable wheels on the vehicle, you can control the vehicle. Otherwise, you get to watch the insanity that happens. Hopefully you beat the level. If not, you can go back to the editor and adjust your vehicle or adjust the rocket speed until you can figure out a solution.
So far I've seen a pretty colorless, kind of clean look to the game. Is that what you're going to stick with, or are there going to be any sort of textures that you're going to bring in later in the game?
Yeah, so I mean, the visuals of the game are definitely intentional. I wanted one of the things I did when I was deciding on what game to make was really just focus on, what could one individual pull off with the minimal amount of art. And there's essentially really only one texture in the whole game, which a lot of people don't realize. But it's very high quality baked lighting, which sort of gives it that clean look. And one of the big reasons for that was not only to reduce the amount of art effort for the game, but it's also to highlight the crashes, right? Because the crashes really are the magic of Crashtastic.
Great. So where did you get the idea for this game?
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of ragdoll physics. I know every time I see a game with ragdolls, for some reason it just always makes me laugh. And so when I was deciding on what to do for my project, I wanted to keep the scope small. So I wanted to avoid things that required a lot of art, B, a lot of AI. And so physics was sort of a natural target for me. So physics was sort of the initial thought. And then I always loved destruction derby games. Burnout, those kind of games where there's lots of crashes and things like that. So I combined the idea of the ragdoll with building a vehicle and crashing all into one game, which became Crashtastic.
So how many different types of parts are going to be available for us to use while we're designing these vehicles?
Yeah, currently there's 8 different pieces. I'm consider actually adding controllable rockets as well. But as I said earlier, I am considering adding a few more before the release of the game.
Okay. And do you know any specific parts that you're going to be able to use for each level, such as you mentioned like rockets that you're going to need to use, or you just pull from the same group of items for every single level?
Yeah, so depending on the level, depending on the objectives, some objectives will require you to use only a specific number of pieces or a specific type of piece or a combination of pieces. Other levels will be fully open in terms of allowing you to use any number of pieces that you wish. And so it really depends on the level.
So what are some other examples of vehicle types that you can make aside from the standard car ones that you can do?
Sure. So I have a few testers that have been playing around with the game, and some of the stuff they've made is quite interesting. I mean, it ranges from 2-wheel rocket cycles to rocket wheelchairs to somebody even made a catapult, and a chariot is another good example. So I mean, there's quite a lot of variety that you can create. I mean, you can create rear wheel vehicles where you control the vehicle from the back. You can create rocket sleds with literally no wheels. So, I mean, it's really open-ended.
And another thing I noticed was that there's a load option on the vehicle creation screen. Are you going to be able to load up any previously created vehicles at any time?
Yeah, so this is actually an interesting feature I haven't talked about publicly before, but you can save and load your vehicles. When you save them, you actually save them server side to the Crashtastic server, and so you can load them from anywhere. And the cool thing about that is that actually enables you to share your design with other people easily. So literally, you can essentially give somebody an ID to a given design, and they can type it in, and they can actually load your design and play around with it or add to it.
So, around how many different levels can we expect to see in the full release?
I haven't come to a final determination on the exact number of levels, but there's going to be over 30, and more probably around upwards of 50 different levels.
I do remember there was another game I played last year that I loved. It was called Space Chem.
Hmm.
It had that YouTube feature where you could directly upload anything that you did in the game to YouTube, and just saw that you have that exact same feature in the game. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that works?
Sure. So after every simulation run, you are given the option to actually load up a replay. In addition to that, there's two buttons in there, which is one of them is save video locally as well as save video to YouTube. And what you do is you essentially set your camera, so the video will be based on where your camera is, and you hit save to YouTube. You fill out your YouTube information, the title, the description, the different tags, and then you're given an option for what sort of resolution that you want to, and that could be 1080p all the way down to 480p, I think is the lowest that I go. And then you hit record, and then it will render all the different frames and encode them, and then when it's done encoding, upload it directly to YouTube to your account.
That's great. And how close is the game looking to being finished at this point?
I hope to finish the game by the end of the year. Game development is one of those things that unfortunately is not an exact science, but while I'd like to finish it at the end of the year, I just can't guarantee it when it's done.
Are you doing any sort of pre-orders for the game, or any way for us to purchase it right now?
So not yet, but in the near future, and by near I mean weeks, I will be opening a pre-order alpha. I feel like the game is in a state where it's fully playable, it's fun, it's enjoyable, and I find myself at the point where I do need feedback from the community, both in terms of performance and as well as gathering some data in terms of the levels and helping me tune the game.
I definitely know I'm interested in trying it as soon as possible. So that I think that's going to be great to let the community try it out like that. And so, do we have an estimated release date? Obviously, the alpha should be coming out in the next few weeks, as you just said. And do you have a price tag on both the alpha and the full version once that's out?
Yeah, I haven't determined final pricing yet, or I should say I'm not quite ready to announce pricing yet. When I release the game, it will be pretty much standard indie pricing, and of course the pre-order alpha will be cheaper than the released price.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys. And that brings us to the end of this episode. I'd like to thank Mark for taking the time to be here with us today. And if you'd like to check out the full extended version of today's interview, please be sure to stay tuned until the end of the video. This is Ryan from Pixabite. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.